All right, so thanks for coming today. So I'm going to shorten this a little bit, but what I wanted to do is just discuss a little bit about what our plans are for the next 10 years here at MSI. And so as we look forward, there's a number of things that we can anticipate over the next 10 years, many that we can't, and as technology goes. And so I'll give you some idea, though, of general strategies that we will be following as we look at the next 10 years. So one thing that will continue is that we expect research computing will be a nexus of university research. MSI will expand its role in supporting collaborative research across the U and other organizations. And we'll continue our role in empowering faculty to remove barriers between each other and between the cyber infrastructure that they need to use. And so to help support this collaborative environment, MSI supports a number of informatics staff. As Jim outlined either maybe this morning, MSI is roughly broken into two large groups. We have our research informatics staff and then our operations and development. And those research informatics staff are going to continue to be critical in connecting researchers to the cyber infrastructure that we deploy. So collaborations are critical in modern research, and MSI is really dedicated to supporting this. Both collaborations within the university and across centers. This is one of the reasons that MSI continues to be involved in regional and national organizations like the Midwest RCD or CASC, the Coalition for Academic Scientific Computation, so that we can work with our peers at other institutions and see where we can collaborate across multiple universities. A big area of growth in the next several years is going to be in compliant research computing. So this probably isn't surprising. We're expanding our capabilities in this area. The first areas that we're expanding into are providing services that meet FISMA compliance and HIPAA compliance. And this is to facilitate a lot of important research in medical and other fields. After this, you can imagine other areas that we might have to expand support in. Just as when you're browsing the web, there's a lot of websites you go to now where you have to approve of the use of their use of cookies and other personal data. We're going to see the same thing with a lot more research data. We're going to see some kind of controls on how data is being used. And in order to facilitate research in the future, we need to have these kind of security and compliance processes in place. So a really important part of MSI and how it functions is that we have regular upgrades of our hardware. This is something that it's a great resource that we have here at the university. A lot of universities don't have as reliable upgrades as we do here. So we do a purchase every 2.5 years. We have some kind of a significant purchase. And we're going to continue to do that. And to help support all of our continued expansion of hardware, we also have to have a business model that allows for expansion. So a couple of years ago, actually, I guess maybe more than 5 years ago now, gosh, time flies. We We introduced having dedicated computing so that researchers can purchase dedicated resources. And this is just something that allows us to scale to meet the demands. And so when researchers have a large amount of dedicated computing demands, they can pay for additional resources. And then we can fold those funds into our next purchase. So one of the things that's been consistent for the last 20 years that I've been here has been our data growth. I took a look at the data, and we actually have sustained about 30% annual data growth every single year for the last 20 years, and which is pretty remarkable. You go back to 2005, and we had these shared systems with a couple terabytes of total space, and now we have tens of petabytes. Um, I don't expect that this is going to be changing based on all the instruments that I keep hearing about and how much data they're generating. Um, uh, Sequencers are generating data at a lower cost than they ever have before, and imaging data keeps increasing in resolution. And so I expect that 10 years from now, we will be managing more than an exabyte of data. And it's important that we have all the tools developed to make that manageable for researchers. Which brings us to data center space. This is an important one. So right now, a lot of our resources are down in the basement. You can go take a tour at some point today. And we have about 1 megawatt worth of power and cooling capacity here in Walter. And we also have some resources over in Niels Hasselmo Hall and over in the West Bank office building. So that's on the other side of the freeway. So another data center, which you may not be aware of, is called the Advanced Operations Center. And so this is probably a new one to a lot of people in the room. The AOC is being built right now. So it's out. I think it used to be maybe like lot C33. So sorry if that used to be your parking lot. It's out between like the Lions Research Building and Mariucci. And this is a new operations center that will house hardware for OIT as well as for research computing. And so that's something that we plan to occupy at some point in the near future here, as soon as it's accessible to us. Networking infrastructure. This is an interesting one. So, we're going to continue growing our network infrastructure. This is a really challenging one, I think, to predict, because it really depends on how interested people are in moving data back and forth. 20 years ago, when I got a new computer at home, it had a 1 gigabit Ethernet interface. And when I got a new computer at home last year, it had a 1 gigabit Ethernet interface. And so I never would have predicted that. If you asked me 20 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that home computers would stagnate at 1 gigabit for that long. But we definitely are going to have rapid and continued expansion of network interfaces on campus and within the data center. Out to the outside world, that's an interesting question. One way in which the research experience, I think, is going to change for our researchers is that they will have new user interfaces. This is something that's been more reliable. Over the years, user interfaces have continued to improve, from interacting via cards to having terminal access. In the early 2000s, a lot of research started switching over and using these new web interfaces and graphical interfaces for doing research. In the next 10 years, this should be no surprise. I really expect a lot more interaction that makes use of AI tools. We're finally going to realize the dream of talking to the computer like on Star Trek, And so I think that this is something that we're going to see a lot of over the next 10 years. So finally, just a couple notes. We're committed to supporting the university's Research 2030 strategy by providing computational power, data infrastructure, and the expertise that's needed to pursue the 14 high impact research themes that have been outlined by Rio. And we're going to do that by ensuring that researchers have access to cutting edge high performance computing hardware and data analytics tools. And so by providing these resources and helping to foster collaboration, we really want to continue supporting Minnesota as a leader in innovation and societal impact. So as the research challenges grow in scale and complexity, we're going to continue to provide resources to support the next generation of computational discovery. And by evolving with the needs of the research community, MSI will continue to accelerate ideas from data to discovery.